Hi, I'm RoseAnn Jansen for Reveal Your Life, and I am the No BS Psychic for business and entrepreneurs and your spiritual guide to your dreams and the stars. So today we have such a wonderful guest, Sarah Michael, sorry, works with visionary entrepreneurs ready to get comfortable being visible, who want to do the inner and the outer work that it takes to lead them to lead from their feminine in their marketing and sales, and from networking and sales conversations to messaging, marketing, and value-focused offers. Sarah guides clients to create a business that does good and feels good. So combining her practical business expertise, marketing personality styles, and her intuition, she helps clients to articulate their unique positioning and have alignment throughout all of their marketing funnels, speaking, video, networking, and sales offers. So, and I'm pretty sure that Sarah and I were sisters in another life because it's, being in her presence is like being home, and I just love it. So, Sarah, welcome to the group, and this group is mostly spiritual entrepreneurs, and we don't want to sound like snake oil salesmen. So we have trouble finding, people in the spiritual realm tend to have trouble finding the right words and conversations to just tell the people that they can help that we exist and how we might help them. So let's start with an outline of the important conversations we need to have.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Yes, spirit and purpose-based.
Just hold a minute. I'm having trouble hearing you. It's breaking up a little bit.
It sounds like there might be some feedback.
Okay, how about that?
How does that sound? That's better.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, and I'm moving my cell phone away. Sometimes there can be interference. Well, thank you for having me. And yes, spiritual entrepreneurs, heart-centered entrepreneurs, those, the helper people, as I call it, the helper people in the broadest sense. We do struggle because a lot of the training out there is very heavy-handed, is very masculine, is very manipulative, to be even somewhat diplomatic about it. And finding the words, finding the conversations, and also one thing we'll talk about today, I'm sure, at least a little bit, I talk about all the time, is around intentional conversations. This isn't about pouncing on people and making people be like, whoa, she just went into sales mode. We don't want a person to ever feel like, whoa, she went into sales mode, except for maybe when we were on the stage. Like, you can feel it when they're good. That's okay. But in conversation, it's not okay. And yet, we need to be really intentional with who we're being, how we're listening, and the questions we're asking in any of the conversations. So the 5 essential conversations that make money is the title of this. The 5 essential conversations are that initial first networking, first impression connection, first impression conversation. Really that networking conversation, online or off, where you're speaking for the first time. And the second one is, related to that, is the follow-up or relationship building conversation. So then how you develop a relationship over time, over several months, years even, but at least in the first several months in a concerted effort, how do you follow up? So you actually build a relationship and then become memorable. All the while, this is where intentional, all the while sniffing out, as I like to call it, sniffing out if they need what you have. You're doing that in the initial conversation, the follow-up conversations as well. It's all about that sniffing out. Next conversation, the third one, you will not be surprised to hear me say, it is the sales conversation. And how do you do that in a loving way, in a really intentional way, in a way where you are a stand, and like a powerful stand for their greatness, for their stepping into a new day for them, as well as, but not, again, not in that slimy, salesy way. There's a way to like connect with heart to heart while still being rigorous. You know, this isn't about like, there's a reason all those strategies work. It's about taking the strategies and making them work for us, and this is what these conversations are all about. The fourth conversation, and I call it a conversation, even though it's somewhat of a soliloquy, is the value-based offer conversation. And that is at the end of a sales conversation, how you make your offer. Because there's a way to make your offer that basically is what I call a price quote, versus an offer that actually feels and sounds like a plan and ends with a number. Right? But it's a plan ending with a number versus a price quote. It is the difference between a price quote and a value-based offer.
Yeah.
And then the fifth conversation, and I consider this ninja level, and crucial though, because as spiritual entrepreneurs, we are, the universe is putting people in our path all the time that we can help. In the grocery store, at the play park with our kids, at a party, all the time. So the fifth conversation is, how do you turn a friendly conversation into a sales conversation, if that's what needs to happen, if that's what you're hearing. Because what'll happen is you're talking to them and everything they're saying is stuff you can help with, but they haven't connected yet that you can help them with it. So how do you say what you've been seeing and ask permission to turn it into a sales conversation? So, because otherwise I have the anti-terms is called like sneaky sales. Is when you're like in a friendly conversation and all of a sudden you realize you're in a sales conversation and you're like, oh. That's sales. That never feels good or honoring.
Yeah. I certainly, first, we have some guests here, so I want to welcome you. Thank you for showing up, Heather, Isabel. And I so get what you're saying. I've been in that situation where I've been talking to people, and and we're friends, and all of a sudden they've switched into sales mode, and it feels offensive. And I just shut down, and I don't want to buy, and I've also been in the situation where people have put me on the spot in front of other people to say, whether I would sign up or not, and I really don't like that either.
No.
So,
go ahead.
Knowing how to transition, if somebody is right for your program and you think you can help them, how do you transition into that sale, into that, just telling them that, hey, I have a program you might be interested in?
Well, here, I'll give you the phrasing, because I know that like the statement I can offer is just a tiny sliver of the mindset and the rest of it that comes with it, but I'll give you the phrasing. And honestly, I'll tell the story where I developed the phrasing or finally got out of my own way enough to find the words, because it's going to apply to all of us in some way, shape, or form. So we have the discussion around, sales as a service. I'm in service and I'm out there selling, and the get out of your own way, when we're feeling self-conscious or whatnot, and we're hiding our gifts from the world and hiding our awesomeness and awesome sauce services from the world because of self-consciousness or, people in our community, whatever it is, whyever it is. And in that way, so, I was networking. I do a lot of in-person networking, although less these days. And but it'll always be something. I find it fun at this point, and it's a mindset thing, but we can talk about that in a minute. And I followed up with this woman like after the initial event, And so that's that number 2, the follow-up conversation. Everything she was saying I could help with, and I could just see it clear as day. But she totally hadn't connected that I could help. Didn't say anything. 6 months later, I follow up with her, saying the same thing, still needs the same thing. I didn't say anything. 6 months later, so now we're at a full year has passed in her life. And we get back in touch, and she's saying the same things she needs. And I actually had the thought in my head, like, you have to get over yourself for whatever reason. She does not get that you can help her yet. So you have to connect the dots. And the words I found, and I don't think I could say them as powerfully as I do now, but I think they were quite meek and, type of posture. But the words are, the phrasing is, I see about 4 or 5, sometimes I exaggerate and say 14. I see about 14 ways I can help you, but I would need to ask some more questions to really make sure that what I have is a fit. Do you want to chat about that now, or find a time later to just talk about exactly what you need in terms of X, Y, and Z, whatever the subject matter is? Do you want to? Would you like to find some time where we can really dig into that? And now is fine, or we can schedule some time. Is kind of how I say it. And I've never had anyone ever say no to the conversation. It doesn't mean they're necessarily going to convert and turn into a client, but people always take me up on the offer to have that conversation. And sometimes I will also add, you may want to write this down, if I'm feeling maybe a little less confident, is I need to ask some more questions, definitely, because I don't know right now. It's just an inkling that I can help you. I definitely need to explore it more and make sure that what I have is what you need.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be, it can be that simple. And by saying, hey, this is what I see the 14 ways I can help you, and then saying, but I need to ask more questions because it's just an inkling or whatever, that sets you up for the deeper questions of a sales conversation, where you're asking about, what they're struggling with and what they need and what's not working. I call those the pain questions, sniffing around what they need, asking them, and then the sales conversation, the pain questions, and then you have the possibility questions is how I break them down. Then what do they want? What are their goals? What are their desires? Yeah. So it sets you up. One thing in all positions is you want to set yourself up to do the thing you need to do sales-wise, marketing-wise. It's totally upfront, clear. They see you coming. Nobody gets ambushed in a group or solo, by this offer or whatnot.
Yeah, that's a big thing, to be clear and upfront about it. I was writing as fast as I could here. I love this. Sales conversations in a loving way. When you're having sales conversations, the way I was taught, you would talk about the pain points first, like you said, and then the possibilities that are open for them. How would you do that in a loving way? So that, like, I have a problem with the pain part, like and I think most spiritual entrepreneurs do. We don't want to make people feel like shit, right? We want to help them. So how do we do that part? Help them be fully aware of the position that they're in now, and that they can do something about it, instead of it just being a dream or a fantasy that maybe someday I could have that, but not now.
It's really, that's where the sales conversation is about moving people, but maybe not pushing people might be the decision. So a couple of ideas for you. One, and I know it's not with you at all. And one of my tips is going to be something I did at the beginning. I've gotten more comfortable with it, but I did it at the beginning to give myself some space. And tell them what was coming, prepare them. The first piece, though, is a mindset piece around, it's not just spiritual entrepreneurs that don't want to make anybody feel bad. Part of my work is the masculine and feminine survival instincts.
Mm-hmm.
And feminine survival instincts will have us never upset, never hurt someone's feelings, never. I mean, that is just a straight line for disconnection, which our cave woman survival self equals as death. So we will avoid at all costs ever making anyone feel bad. And so we got that going on. Like, that's the piece of it, right? And yes, I think the spiritual entrepreneurs, it then can get like heightened and even more magnified because of our focus on positivity and optimist, type of thing. Like, it can get just heightened by that. And this is where sales is service, and this is where getting them clarity. I mean, that might be a better way to hold it, as clarity on what they need. I just call it pain and possibility for two reasons. One, I like the alliteration. And two, I'm also a big believer, as I've already shown today, in speaking of things plainly, like the pain points, like sales. I don't call it enrollment. I don't call it inspiring. I definitely don't call it sharing. Like, if we have a charge around the word, you better believe we have a charge around the act. So one of the ways I help bring down the charge is I just speak really plainly of it, and being with the pain, and our ability as coaches and healers to be with the pain, and not in a mucky way like we get slimed, but just be with another and allow the pain to be there, helps them get clarity. I mean, that might be a bit, so it's clarity on what they need is what the pain is. Clarity on what they haven't been able to move forward on their own. So holding it like that, the shift of the mindset. And so, that's wonderful to know. It might not help you tomorrow. What will help you tomorrow, and part of its practice, is showing ourselves that we can ask these questions, and A, people are going to be okay. We're not going to squash them. And B, it actually works. They actually see something new for themselves. But this is what I call a tell on yourself. So if you're nervous about doing something like asking these pain questions, at the beginning of the conversation, just saying, listen, I'm going to ask you several questions about what you need, what you're struggling with, and your challenges. And my intention is not to make you feel bad, but for us to get a lot of clarity on exactly what is going on and why you're not making more progress, why you're stuck, why you're not moving forward, whatever feels authentic to you. Is that okay? Get their permission. They're going to say yes. No one's ever going to say no to something like that. And then it just gives you may still feel a little weird the first few times with asking the questions, but it'll give you space for it, and you'll have their permission to do so.
Okay, I have a couple questions here. One thing. Facing the words head on, that's big. Facing the words head on? Like, if you have a problem with the word money or sales or marketing, deal with it. Like, clear your own stuff first, and then you can have that conversation. But the other thing is about permission. Okay, so this came about in the last couple of years, basically, I think. Asking permission to ask questions and to tell people about your offers. What does that do? How does that, what does it do to, because you never used to have to ask permission for that.
Yeah.
So why now?
Well, it's interesting that you feel this is a new thing in the last couple of years. I think maybe it just got more airtime or got more visible, because honestly, getting permission is fundamental sales training 101. Traveling salesmen, 60, 80 years ago were taught this. It was all about, is it okay if I come back tomorrow? Is it okay if I follow up when I'm here in January? I mean, so yeah, I think there's even like a sales school or a sales kind of modality called like permission-based selling, which is like all about just asking questions along the way. So it's actually very fundamental, and maybe it's good. Maybe it means we're getting less manipulative tactics out there, you know, that are training it more, training sales more, you know, rigorously. Maybe that's, which is a good thing in my mind, if you've been seeing it more. But the reason it's good is because people will see you coming, and people aren't going to feel ambushed, and people aren't going to feel sneaky sales. And that's what permission, that's the benefit of getting permission, is no one's ever going to feel like, oh my God. And then she told me about her mastermind program, and you know, and I have no desire for her as mastermind program, but you know, anyway, and it's weird, and I'm never going to buy it, and all the things you said, like, it just, you shut down, you disconnect.
Interesting. It's my awareness, right? Yeah, as soon as you said, it's been forever. Yeah, it has. And so they keep you going. It keeps the conversation going because you're a participant in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Keeps you engaged. And there are some like manipulative aspects to it because it keeps you saying yes. Like they're like in its most, I guess, you know, rigorous way. Like there's so many of these little questions that, you know, the person's constantly saying yes. So then the yes is easier at the end. You know, I'm not into that stuff, but I mean, it does keep you engaged. It means, you know, it gives people an out. It lets people say, yes, I'd like to hear more. There's, you know, they're more at choice than us just coming at them with a sale, which is where it starts to feel weird. And that's why when you initially said, well, how do I turn the conversation to a sale? You know, hey, I have this program. The reason I don't suggest that is the minute you mention program, they're on the back foot.
Yeah.
No matter how lightly you think you're just mentioning it, they're on the back foot. And they're like, oh, she just went into me. Oh, she's going to sell something to me or whatever. Versus focused on what you said you need. You're like, you've already said you need something I can help you with. Let's talk more about that.
Yeah, big difference. Even just you saying it there, that's a really big difference. Yeah. Yeah, I think just in this short time, I've had some real epiphanies here. Thank you so much. I'm going to have to listen to this again because we were all been talking for like 20 minutes, but you have said so much in that time that I really I'm going to have to listen to it again. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate you talking to us about this. And definitely, everybody, please listen to this a couple times because there are gems in here. Okay, we should probably close down now before Bila shuts us off. But thank you, everybody, for showing up, and everybody who's going to be watching us. And Sarah, please tell people how they can work with you if they would like to.
Absolutely. If you're curious to hear more about this and feel like your conversations or your messaging or something in your marketing and sales is not working, and you'd like to maybe see if we're a fit to do some work, you can go to talkwithsarah.com and put in your name and email, and we will hop on the phone and talk about what you need and see if what I have is a fit.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I will post that link, talkwithsarah.com.
Yep.
I'll post that when the replay comes up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you again so much.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay.